Welcome back to the Bible Reading Project. It is Thursday, day 4 of Assumptions That Ruin a Marriage. You're with me in my house today because this morning I had to go 30 miles that way, but I work 30 miles that way, only to come back 30 miles to the house to go 30 miles that way for a meeting tonight. So here we are in my house with no microphone and, well, no lighting, just staring out into the backyard. But day 4, assumptions that ruin a marriage, and today is a doozy. A little warning and a disclaimer. It's going to sting a little bit, but I pray it helps you. I pray it opens your heart to getting your marriage to the place it can be its very best. Are you ready? Hold tight, buckle up. Here is assumption number 4. Take a deep breath. Here it is. It's okay. It could be worse. That's the assumption. It's okay. It could be worse. Is one of the worst assumptions to carry into your marriage. It's okay. It could be worse. I mean, think about it. It's okay. It could be worse. All he did was cuss me out. It could be worse. He could have punched a hole in the wall. But it could be worse. It's okay. All he did was just curse me. Or how about this one? Well, it could be worse. I mean, it's okay. All he did was just punch a hole in the wall. It could be worse. I mean, he could have hit me, but he didn't. I mean, it's okay. It could be worse. I mean, he punched a hole in the wall, but at least the kids weren't home. I mean, it's okay. It could be worse. I mean, it's okay. It could be worse. I mean, he is addicted to porn, but it could be worse. At least he's not sleeping around with somebody. I mean, it's okay. It could be a lot worse. I mean, he did punch a hole in the wall, and the kids weren't home. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. I mean, what if the kids had have been home? He does drink a lot, and sometimes passes out, but I mean, it could be worse. He's a real laid-back drunk. He's not aggressive. I mean, it could be worse. I mean, we hadn't had sex in a long time, but it could be worse. I mean, she could be cheating on me for all I know. I mean, it could be worse. I mean, we don't really talk a lot. I mean, every time we do try to talk, we kind of argue, but it could be worse. I mean, we could just split, and thank God we've not split. I mean, it could be, listen, I know he curses. I know he's not home. I know that he loses his temper with me and, just threatens me, but it could be worse. We could literally divorce. I mean, it could be worse. It's okay. It could be worse. Listen, he's a good man. He's a good man. He works hard. We can't talk about anything because he loses his temper, but he's a good man. He works really hard. He provides for the family. It could be worse. I could be on my own. He could leave me, and it could be worse as I would lose the house. So it's okay. It could be a lot worse. I mean, literally, he could be cheating. It could be worse. He could leave me, and I could lose the house. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine if we divorced? I mean, it could be worse. I mean, he does cuss and knock holes in the walls, and he does abuse me verbally, but he's never hit me. Never has he hit me. I mean, it could be worse. She always ignores me, never talks to me, never says anything. But I mean, it could be worse. But, we don't have anything in common. We never talk, but it's okay. Literally, it's okay. So that there is going to kill you. That is going to ruin your marriage. It's going to cause you to compromise getting better because you always tell yourself it could be worse. So you never get better. You're just thankful that it's not worse. You're okay that there's cussing each other out because it literally could be worse. You're okay that every time there's an argument, you threaten to leave. You threaten to divorce, but it could be worse. You could literally divorce. It's okay, though. I mean, it's porn, but at least you're not with a real person. I mean, it could be worse, honey. And you better be thankful. You just better be thankful you're married to me, because it'd be a lot worse than me. I mean, here's my story. I've never cursed Robin. To the best of my knowledge, maybe once or twice in 32 years, I've raised my voice. I'm not a screamer. I don't cuss. I don't slam doors. Never punch the wall. I never have cursed her. I never have slapped her. I never have slammed doors and ran out. To the best of my knowledge, I've never even threatened divorce. So, it's okay. It could be worse than pouting. Because it's okay, I'm just a pouter. Get mad at me, don't even care. I'm just going to go to the other room. I'm going to pout. You won't even know, and you need to be thankful, Robin. It could be a lot worse. I could not be so nice, and I could turn around and cuss you out. I could turn around and scream. I could threaten divorce. I could slam doors. I could threaten you that you better be glad I'm in this home. No, it's okay. It's okay. It could be a lot worse, because I'm never going to curse you. I'm always going to provide for you. Anything you need, I will sell my soul to make it work. So it could be worse. So just deal with my pouting. Just deal with me being a narcissistic, self-induced pouter. That if I don't get my way, or I feel tense, or I feel like you don't like something I did, or you have an opinion, I'm just going to go that way. And so I'm going to pout for a while. It could be worse. So it's okay. Just deal with it. And do you know pouting? There's 1,000 other things that a woman might say could be worse than a pouter. But pouting becomes the justification of not getting better. So this assumption that it's okay, it could be worse, is nothing more than a lie that you start believing to keep you from taking a risk for your marriage getting better. Example. Sometimes getting better is worse. So it's okay. It could be worse. Might keep you stuck in the same place for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, dealing with the same problems, the same faults, the same anger, the same habitual habits that are killing you, the marriage, and your children. And you tolerate them after decades of being together because you tell yourself it's okay, it could be worse. And what that's doing to you is it's keeping you in a situation that is not the best your marriage can be, because you've convinced yourself, but it could be worse. I mean, if I really put my foot down to be better, it could get worse before it gets better. Yes. If I put my foot down and say, you will not speak to me like this anymore, it could get worse before it gets better. Yes. If I say the next time you curse me out and punch a wall and threaten me, I'm done. It could get worse, yes, before it gets better. But most people will never get better because they convince themselves, okay, now is better than worse later. My own story, tragic though it may be, my own story is it had to get worse before it got better. When I fell apart, and I don't talk about this a lot, I lived 3 months outside of the home, 3 months without my children and my wife, 3 months living in Atlanta, Georgia, while my wife is still living back home. You think that's fun? Do you think that made me feel good? Do you think it made me feel like a success as a man? Do you think it made me run around and go, look at me, I'm a loser, I'm a terrible, horrible human being, I'm a husband that has lost everything? But see, if I did not get rid of this assumption, but it's okay. Okay, we had a bad week, we had a bad month, it's okay. It could be worse, but it would have never gotten better. So sometimes things need to get worse so you can find better. So what's worse? I had to go live in a basement. I had to go to counseling over and over. I had to drive hours to go to counseling. I had to spend a lot of money to go get help, to talk to people, to invest into my future. And sometimes spending the money, sometimes being separated from each other. Me and Robin were separated nearly 90 days. That's terrible. I don't even think God would like it. But it was that separation of 90 days which felt worse that brought out the best. And that's what I mean by the assumption that will ruin you is it's okay. It could be worse. But yet sometimes it's the worse that's going to get you better. Sometimes it's saying, you will not talk to me like that anymore, and if you do, you're out of the house. I'm not living with you like this anymore. I'm not living with you threatening me and saying the things you do, so get out of the house. But that get out of the house, we're not living this way, feels worse. It feels like God's not proud of me. I've lost my faith. The devil got the best of me because I put a line in the sand that I will not tolerate this anymore, just saying it's okay, it could be worse. Maybe I'm going to be bold to go, it's going to be worse because we're going to get better. It's going to be worse because financially we're going to invest in getting better. It's going to be worse because you're going to go move out and live with your mother while we get healed up. It's going to be worse because you're not going to keep using me as your sex tool while you just abuse me the day before and then want me to hop in bed with you when you feel the need. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that anymore. But see, as a Christian, when you are that bold about, I'm not tolerating this bad behavior anymore, it makes you feel worse. It makes you feel like I'm now on the devil's team because I've put my foot down and I'm asked for worse. And so that's why most people never choose the worse to become better. It's why most of us would have never hung on a cross, because that's worse than resurrection life. I mean, in the moment when they're beating you, it's worse than 3 days later, resurrection life. So I leave you with Thursday's lesson of the day. It's okay. It could be worse. May be the very attitude and assumption that's causing you to avoid the worse to become better. I hope that helped you. I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you tomorrow, and it's going to be a good one.